This is the YouTube Church of Christ. Welcome, everyone. This is my friend, Nathan.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Nathan. So, whenever we talk about Christianity, most people think that we Christians are these pompous, better than thou kind of people, when in reality that's not true, Saying we're a Christian actually says that we're not perfect, It's sort of how we admit that, Oftentimes when we talk about sins and avoiding them, we think of them as these choices we make, and we go off and then we make a bad choice and then we go off. My experience doesn't work like that, It's less about me deciding to do the sin, more like me looking back and realize that I just sinned and have no clue of how that even happened. One of the things I always feel terrible about is when I fall in sin, and it's like I should be stronger than that. I think we should understand that there seems, to me at least, two different kinds of sin, right? There's this premeditated sin, where we think about it and we plan it and then we sin. We plan for parties and stuff. That's not exactly a sin, but we plan for parties and we plan and we think ahead for weeks and weeks and we plan and then we do it. That's how premeditated sin. That's the sin that we normally think of. That is normally addressed. It's this idea of sin, where we decide there's a fork in the road and we decide to take the sinful path instead of the righteous path, and we have to be conscious of it, and we have to be. I don't think that's the case. In fact, I have several things that's not the case. A common thing, Nate, here is, do you know, near the end of Jesus' time with everyone, what happens with, I believe it's like Peter or something? He disowns him 3 times, remember?
Oh, yeah.
He says, I never knew Jesus. Thing is, the more I read about Peter, I don't think he ever planned to do that. Beforehand, when they're at the Last Supper, Jesus tells Peter beforehand that he's going to do this. Peter's like, no, I never do that. Yet here he goes off, and he doesn't. He didn't plan to do it. He just did it, and he regretted it right after he realized this. Luke 22, actually I'm in Luke 22, verse 54, and I'm just skipping through all the way to 62. And he went outside and wept bitterly at this. He disowned him in front of a servant girl. He went in front of someone else, it doesn't say. And then another person, and he just, no, he didn't mean to do all this stuff, We're not meaning to do this. Because Peter knew that he was going to do this, but he didn't want to do this, and yet somehow he still did this. I think, and I'm going with Luke here, because I saw another verse that only Luke has, that Jesus, there's a little added thing that the others omit. It's Luke chapter 22, verses 31 and 32. He tells Simon, Satan has asked me to sift you as wheat. That's, the harvesting, they separate the wheat from the chaff. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. So not only did Jesus know that Simon was going to fail, I think Jesus also knew that Peter wouldn't mean to do it. Oh, by the way, Simon is Peter. Simon Peter, that's another name. Simon had 2 names for some reason. So basically, and he's like, I'm with you to go to prison and to death, but he doesn't plan to sin by disowning Jesus. He just does it. I find it interesting that he says may not fail. In other words, his sin didn't cause his faith to fail. That is, when he sinned, he didn't lose his faith. It was still there even after his sin. So the sin, even though we don't need to do it, see, I feel terrible when I sin, and I feel terrible about it, and I try to fight it, and then still some days it's like, why did I sinned, and I didn't even realize I did it. And it's like, at what point did that happen? It's not the end. It's not the end. And just because you didn't realize it doesn't mean you're any worse of a Christian. I think Peter did the same thing. That's why, and I think a lot of these people do it. They sin and they know it's a sin. Sometimes they plan for it, but they do it anyways, and they don't mean to. It's just one thing to keep in mind. I can't impart on you this amazing truth, but I can tell you Jesus' love is beyond that. I'm sorry, Nate, that I didn't get a chance to give you more things to talk about.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think the thing to take away from all this is the fact that your sin is not the end. Even if, and I know it will feel terrible when you fight it and then realize you spontaneously did and didn't even realize how it happened. A lot of time it feels like I'm being controlled like a puppet. It's not the end. Get back up. Try again. Doesn't make you any worse of a person. Doesn't make you secretly evil, even to the point where even you don't even realize it. It just means you failed that time. Sometimes Satan has this massive army in front of your big fortress of faith. Sometimes he just has a ninja to sneak in and assassinate your goodness. It's not the end. Jesus drags us to the table. He literally goes off and he picks us up and drags us to heaven. It's nothing of our power. He realized that we cannot. Stephen mentioned this in the first episode about a mountain. Jesus realized and knew that we could never reach heaven by climbing up the mountain. He had to go down and drag us up here, and he's more than happy to do that. I don't know if that helps you guys or not. Nathan's got those stick things, and I'm Nathan. If you have any questions, feel free to put them on the comment section. Put it down in the comment section down there. If you like us, don't forget to press the like button or subscribe, which is, I believe, up there.
It's somewhere.
It's somewhere. But if you really need a question answered, feel free to email us. I'll have Caroline put the email there. Yeah, I hope you guys like this episode. See ya.
Whoa!
May the Lord be with you.